That's Nick.
That's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about a modern piece of classic cinema, Hobbs and Shaw, directed by David Leitch.
David Lynch?
Leitch, Leitch. Leitch? Robin Leitch? David Leitch.
So, this film is a spin-off from the Fast and the Furious
It's
franchise.
actually, I think technically the title is Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay, so inspired by
But I think it's
the franchise people are in love with.
slow and tedious.
Oh.
Fast and Furious. But
Well, we're not going to bash this movie because there's a huge fan base for Fast and the Furious. These films have very similar themes and features, right? Like loud, fast car chase scenes and, like ridiculous stunts and defying the laws of physics. Like those are things that people have come to expect from these films. So I think it's fair that, Hobbs and Shaw delivered on that. So obviously people like it, and that's great. I feel like we should talk more about why, how this movie could be better.
Start from scratch.
No, but I just feel like you can still achieve all those things and have it make zero sense.
So I've seen, I think the first Fast and Furious came out when I was in high school, and then I didn't see any, and we happened to see Fast and Furious 6 because Doug Benson did a movie that did an interruption of it. And then I've seen everything since 6.
And I've only seen 6 and 7, I think.
The one with Kurt Russell, who had the prominent role.
I've seen, yes.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it was a wise move from them to segue from Vin Diesel and Tyrese and Michelle Rodriguez
and Ludacris. Who are none of whom are likable.
No, they're not likable. Well, it doesn't help that the scripts for any of these, including this one, are not good. And then to have actors that aren't really good at pivoting into working with what the material they have.
Agreed. So the story revolves around Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson.
Yes.
And Shaw, played by Jason Statham. There is some devious entity called Etion. Some biotech company that has unlimited resources but is under the radar. They've developed a virus that, if let out, will kill everyone, literally everyone in the world in 72 hours.
Well, they developed technology to where they're trying to evolve mankind by making them machine hybrids.
Oh, so they didn't develop the virus?
Like RoboCop. Well, Eddie Marsan's character, who's English.
But doesn't he work for them?
I think he did work for them, but I was unclear or don't remember or...
So my first thought is the more interesting storyline was the fact that they've developed technology that can literally bring people back from the dead. Mm-hmm. So Idris Elba was brought back from the dead.
Yeah, he was.
And he's now like RoboCop. So I feel like that would have been the better story. I didn't need the virus that's going to kill the entire world. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so they want to get this virus, and
so it starts. Vanessa Kirby from The Crown and the last Mission Impossible movie is Jason Statham's sister, and she's MI6,
which is a reveal.
Not that big of a reveal, but yes,
they don't reveal it till almost the end, right?
Mm-hmm. No, it's a very long movie. It's somewhere. It's revealed anyway. She is MI6 in the beginning of the movie. Idris Elba is. That MI6 has acquired the virus, and Idris Elba.
It shouldn't be this difficult to describe the plot.
And she injects it. She puts it in her bloodstream, and
because that makes sense.
But it's in these capsules, and she has.
This plot is so complicated for such a silly movie.
It actually is only the time span of the narrative. Now I think it is only 42 hours because that's the time it takes before those capsules will dissolve into her system. Anyway, so then that happens, and then the Americans
enlist
Dwayne Johnson,
and the Brits enlist Jason Statham,
and they hate each other because the last movie they beat each other up. And...
So Idris Elba represents like the bad guys who want the virus.
Mm-hmm.
He's also RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire movie is him chasing, what's her name?
Vanessa Kirby.
Vanessa Kirby, and Hobbs and Shaw attempting to assist her. So I like Dwayne Johnson.
Yes, he's very charming.
He's very charming.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like anything I see him in, I will leave with at least enjoying him.
Mm-hmm.
So he does a good job with what he was given, what he gave himself, because his production company is responsible for this. But
Yes. It's just, you know, Kevin Hart has a cameo in it, and it just reminded me the chemistry he has with Kevin Hart is so much better.
So I think that's probably, so going on about the story and how stupid it is and how none of it's believable is pointless. I think the bigger issue is like Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson have no chemistry, which is really bad because Dwayne Johnson is such like a likable character, and in every other movie you see him in, it's almost impossible that the supporting cast or the co-stars are not able to, like, you don't feel like they get along.
Right.
And I know in this film they're not supposed to get along, but it's not like that classic comedy dynamic of two people bouncing off of each other. It's just like Jason Statham making a mean, wrinkled face all the time, and Dwayne Johnson just being like a lovable, grouchy bear. Right.
But and as I said after we got out of it, it's trying that template of 48 Hours, which is shown somebody has a poster of it up in the old Walter Hill movie with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy.
Which it does not achieve. If that was the intention, it's not even close.
No, but that's an old formula too, you know, because if you think of Lethal Weapon, the white cop, black cop thing. And then I can't remember the name of it, and I forgot to look it up. There's an old movie with Robert Culp and Bill Cosby, which is very similar to that as well.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest gripe is, and Jason Statham is likable to me. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's always dry and pointless, but
he's cute in I Spy.
Yeah, his demeanor and his style of acting works. It just, the two of them together and why they were put together to be in this film, like the actual story, seems pointless. So I think for people who like Fast and Furious movies,
they might like this.
I don't know. Also, I don't know, because I thought the audience for these films was like a younger crowd. These two men are 40, 50 plus.
I don't think the draw...
The car stuff is not as present.
It's not as present. I think wasn't that the draw of Fast and the Furious? It never was the cast.
There's only one cool car, which is Jason Statham drives a McLaren, and then, like, at the very end... So the film culminates...
in a grand...
Which, this is the other thing. So the other positive thing is I really like the idea of a person of color like Dwayne Johnson being a boss, having a production company, making moves, making films that he has some say in. So that makes me happy. Obviously, he had a big say in this film because the movie culminates in sort of like a battle of epic proportions in Samoa. Mm-hmm. So we're introduced to a lot of Samoan culture, people speaking.
A lot of Samoan culture.
Well, for considering the type of movie this is. And
sure.
It was a lot. They were speaking, I sound so ignorant. Is that Samoan? Is that a language? That's a language. Yes. They were speaking Samoan. I don't know. I mean, well, I'm obviously ignorant to it, so I was very pleased to see something that I don't normally see on the big screen. So I'm really happy about that. And
although playing his big brother, Cliff Curtis, is
a man from New Zealand.
But
however, I don't think they really utilized the island. That could have been anywhere. That movie could have been shot.
It was like Tyler Perry's "Why Did I Get Married To?" and
how they're in Jamaica.
I think isn't it the Bahamas?
They're in the Bahamas, but it really could have been.
It could have been Redondo Beach.
It really could have been.
But anyway, yeah.
But anyway, I really like that, there's some representation, some Polynesian representation. Mm-hmm. So that makes me happy. But it just doesn't make sense why they end up in Samoa, why he would put all of his family
at risk.
He's estranged.
Well, wait, no. The whole thing is like, I know a place we can go that's off the radar. And then the next scene you see with Idris Elba is like, we found him. They chartered a plane to Samoa. It's not off the radar.
Well, so the issue is there are two options to save the world because Vanessa Kirby's character has the virus in her. So she's told by the person who developed it, We either need to burn her body, and that will solve everything.
Eddie Marsan directed, who's a well-known actor. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay. So one option is to burn the body or extract the virus from her. But to do that, they need this machine that's almost impossible to get. Obviously, Hobbs and Shaw are able to like get into the secret layer, steal the machine, but in transit, the machine is wrecked. So the only solution, besides burning this bitch up, is to have someone fix the machine. So like you said, Hobbs is like, oh, I know someone, my estranged brother who lives in Samoa.
That I haven't talked to for 25 years.
I haven't talked to in 25 years.
We have family baggage. And
they're in, where are they? In the UK when this happened?
London, I think.
Where's that? Wherever. They're very far away from Samoa. And time is very limited.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So why they would choose to go that far. And then it's like so the other the other big plot line is that this evil entity that's trying to get the virus, they have access to all media.
Mm-hmm.
Like they own all media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they twist the story into the public that Hobbs and Shaw are terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So in this sort of like the last act or approaching the last act of the film where time is limited and they need to figure out how to extract the virus from Vanessa Kirby, they decide to go to Samoa. And how do they get there? But by the help of
Kevin Hart,
who's an air marshal. I will say the scene on the plane when they're traveling and they meet Kevin Hart, I mean, that was probably like the best dose of comedy in the film. Probably. Because the lines between Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham are, for what it is, that writing was pretty decent. Those jokes were better than your average, like what it could have been. So I will say that. It's just the way they were delivered. Yeah, particularly from Jason Statham, they fell a little flat. But the writing, the banter between the two, I didn't think was the worst. But when Kevin Hart is introduced, I thought it definitely took it to another level for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it ends with them in Samoa fighting Idris Elba and his team. And they also don't have any weapons. So Hobbs doesn't. So they have all these like island, like, what do you call them?
Spears?
Well, they're like war artifacts.
Yeah.
It's basically spears and like wooden hammers. And they basically use that and the power of the islands, as he says.
And their naked torsos.
Yeah, they need to be shirtless with their little skirts on.
Also, Vanessa Kirby was able to hack whatever system, because all their weapons are...
like bioactivated.
Yeah, so they were able to take them offline.
Whatever. The plot is ridiculous and it's all developed to kind of keep the story going. And some of it's fun. Like the final scene with the helicopter and all that. I mean, it's insanely ridiculous and defies all laws of physics. Mm-hmm. But hey, that's what these films are known for. Like the Fast and the Furious franchise, every film I understand has like
that plane
the plane on the runway for Fast 20 minutes. Yeah. They're amusing.
Helen Mirren's also in it again.
With nothing to do, but she looks fantastic.
She looks good. So David Leitch, he and Chad Stahelski, they directed the first John Wick movie, and they were both stuntmen, right?
Okay.
And they directed that movie that ended up being an unexpected hit, and Stahelski went off to do the John Wick franchise, and David Leitch, he did Atomic Blonde, which I liked, I think more than you did, and Deadpool 2.
Oh, so this is disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really a big fan of Deadpool 2, but
Ryan Reynolds in the film being Ryan Reynolds, who I really like, but it's like putting like potato chips on top of a shitty casserole. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I like potato chips, but the casserole's still bad. Yeah, we should wrap this up. I feel like if you're a fan of Fast and Furious, you will like this movie, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels a little elderly, though. It does feel like...
elderly.
It does. It feels like the two main, the leads are older. There aren't fun cars. Knowing that a stunt person directed this is surprising.
I mean, there are a lot of fight scenes. It's just...
There are, but they're not they're nothing wow.
It gets very monotonous. It's nothing like that one sequence with Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde where...
Down the staircase. Yeah. That was impressive. Yeah. So yeah, knowing that, I'm a little disappointed in this film. I'm disappointed in this film anyway, but if you want to see this movie, go see it. You'll probably like it. I would give it 1 star out of 5.
1 out of 5.
Yeah. Don't be mad. Bye.
Bye.